let's talk about the Alex Salmond case. Your predecessor and former friend has said that your account of this is, and I quote, simply untrue, manifestly untrue, untenable. Parliament has been repeatedly misled. What did you think when you saw those words?
I don't accept that, and I will refute that vigorously. Look, questions have been raised about my handling of sexual harassment claims made about my predecessor. It's right that I am properly scrutinised on that. I had hoped that I would be before the committee conducting this inquiry on Tuesday this week. Unfortunately, that's been delayed by a couple of weeks. But I'll sit before that committee and I will refute all of those accusations, and I will set out my account of what happened, given the very difficult situation that I faced. And people can make their own judgments on that. But what I will never do is apologise for doing everything I could to make sure that claims, complaints about sexual harassment were investigated, that they weren't simply swept under the carpet because of the seniority and the powerful position of the person who was subject to them.
Your spokesman said that Mr. Salmond is, and I quote, spinning false conspiracy theories. Do you agree with your spokesman?
Well, what I do certainly sometimes reflect on is that at times I appear to be simultaneously accused of colluding with Mr. Salmond to somehow cover up accusations of sexual harassment on the one hand, and then on the other hand of being part of some dastardly conspiracy to bring him down. Neither of those things.
Do you agree with your own spokesperson that he is spinning false conspiracy theories or not?
There are false conspiracy theories being spun about this, and in that,
coming from Alex Salmond.
Well, look, by Alex Salmond, by people around him, you can draw your own conclusions around that. But what I would say is this: what is forgotten in all of that are the women who brought forward these complaints. Now, you know, at the time I became aware of all of this, just tried hard not to interfere with what was going on and not to do anything that would see these swept aside rather than properly investigating. Now, the Scottish Government made mistakes in the investigation of that, and that's part of the subject of the inquiry. But I didn't collude with Alex Salmond and I didn't conspire against him. But when I get the opportunity, which I've been waiting a long time on now, to sit in front of this committee, then I can set out these things fully. It's right, as First Minister, I was faced with a difficult decision. Then I have given me a free pass. It's right that I'm properly scrutinised on that.
Then I have some good news, because we can follow this a little bit further, because at the centre of all of this is the question about what you knew and when you knew it about the allegations against Mr. Salmond. You said that you first found out when he told you at a meeting at your house on the 2nd of April 2018. But we now know that there was a meeting 4 days earlier in your parliamentary office where the issues were discussed. And you then said you'd forgotten about this meeting. Can you therefore now take the opportunity to explain to people quite clearly what you knew? When did you first know about the allegations? Just tell people.
Alex Salmond told me about the allegations against him on the 2nd of April in my house. Look, I am going to go into this with the committee with the greatest of respect, Andrew. I'm not going to get into the weeds of this with you in a short interview. I've set out some of this in my written evidence to the committee, and I'm going to set that out in oral evidence to the committee when I get the opportunity. I'm very happy to do that, but let's not forget
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Alex, but I don't think this is the weeds. I think this is central to it. Let me try another question. Your husband, who's the chief executive of the SNP, gave evidence to the inquiry last month, and he was asked about text messages to other SNP officials which talk about pressurising the police over this case. And he said the language is inappropriate, but he had done nothing and he wasn't involved in the conspiracy. But he also said that there were no other text messages of that nature. Is that true?
There are no messages that are relevant to this committee's inquiry. The text messages that you refer to there were, as I understand it, the day after Alex Salmond was charged with serious offences. The point he made was that everybody's emotions were running really high that day. You've just said to me something like he said he wasn't involved in the conspiracy. There was no conspiracy. Complaints came forward here. They had to be investigated. It's right that there's scrutiny into how those of us confronted with this handled that. But that's what the Committee of Inquiry is for. And I will sit in front of that Committee of Inquiry and I will answer these questions in the appropriate way, and I'll show due respect to it.